Welcome everyone. My name is Nicole and I am an alcoholic. This workshop is Forgiving Yourself and Others. And this workshop was put together by John A. And welcome everyone. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know before you learned it. That's by Maya Angelou. Okay. Hello everyone and welcome to our workshop on forgiving yourself and others. The reason why we have these workshops is to work on the underlying issues behind alcoholism. If alcohol was the problem, most of us would be cured by now. Alcohol was but a symptom. Let's start with a moment of silence followed by the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. We're happy to have you here making this investment in your sobriety. You could be watching ESPN and waiting for the games to begin, cutting the grass, out shopping, or binge watching on Netflix. But you're here with us on a Sunday morning. You're making a huge deposit into your IRA, your individual recovery account, by being here and participating. Keep making these deposits no matter how small, because one day you may have a situation that will require you to make a huge withdrawal and you don't want your IRA to be depleted. We will be using both AA conference approved literature and non-AA conference approved literature. Just because something is not AA conference approved does not mean it is disapproved by the AA conference. The Bible is not conference approved. The chips and medallions are not conference approved. The newspaper is not conference approved. Do yourself a favor and don't put restrictions on your sobriety. Oftentimes, the ties that bind us are more mental than physical. Here's an example. In India, one method of training elephants was to tie a baby elephant to a tree with a thick, heavy chain, thereby severely restricting its movement and almost immobilizing it. After a long time of that treatment, all an elephant handler had to do was tie a rope around the elephant and put a stake in the ground to keep the elephant in place. The elephant was so conditioned to thinking that it was unable to move that some of them had been found dead in place after a fire. All the elephant had to do was try to move, and it would have escaped the fire, but it thought it was still chained to a tree. By learning to forgive yourself and others, you will be freeing yourself from the past. You will be breaking the ties that bind you and keep you from growing. Forgiveness is important to the healing process, since it allows you to let go of your anger, guilt, shame, sadness, or any other negative feeling you may be experiencing and move on. Once you identify what you're feeling, give a voice to it and accept that mistakes are inevitable. I have some great news for you. You don't have to forgive anyone in this world except yourself. You do, however, have to let go of any anger and resentment you have towards people, places, and things. If your higher power has forgiven you, why not forgive yourself? You're not a bad person. You were probably doing the best you could with what little you knew. Also remember that you were powerless at that time. You are no longer powerless since you have a higher power to guide you. Step 1 is written in the past tense. We were powerless over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable. The step 10 promises say that we feel as though we had been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor are we afraid. That is our experience. That is how we react as we keep in fit spiritual condition. You're not powerless, nor are you powerful. We feel though we had been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. Resentment is the number one offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anything else. From it stems all forms of spiritual disease. For we have been not only mentally and physically ill, we have been spiritually sick. Big Book, page 64. This is why you should forgive yourself, no matter what. Forgiveness is such an enriching substance that it is so hard to make real progress without it. Our ego also depends on it. If we want to make things right, we have to let to let go. Forgiveness also emanates from our spirituality, and if we continue holding on to the past misdeeds of ourselves or of others, we will dent our self-esteem and scar the best image of who we are, who we can be. The truth is that there is already enough hatred, pain, and persecution. It is really vain to continue building upon what is negative and damaging. Letting yourself radiate in love and learning to let go could be the best decision you can ever make. Here are 4 reasons why you should learn to forgive yourself no matter what. You will find peace of mind. Forgiving yourself gives you peace. You stop being captive to any resentment or grudges you may have and start focusing on other things that are important. You can let go and show you're willing to embrace freedom. There is no partial letting go. You have to let go completely so you can completely embrace peace. You show strength. Whether it is courage or fairness, forgiveness gives you strength over the situation before you. You cannot really understand the depth of this when you are filled with anger and resentment over your past misdeeds. You can only accept this and understand this when you are willing to let go. It is not easy. It's not so easy to forgive or to let go as you think. This possesses some limitations or shows some weaknesses. But contrary is the case when you can forgive yourself no matter what happens. The weak cannot forgive. Only the strong can. Show strength and forgive yourself. You embrace a gift. Just like the gift of sunshine or rainfall, forgiveness is a gift we can give to ourselves. This all stems from understanding our spirituality and knowing that we are designed to be happy and never be held bound by anything. We are designed to be free and rise above situations. You cannot take full advantage of this gift of forgiveness unless you show willingness to let go. You have to embrace this gift and take charge of your life. You show responsibility. You are responsible for your next actions and the decisions you make. It should not be decided upon regret, resentment, or a mistake. It should be decided on what direction you want to take, and that will serve you in your best interest. Taking charge of your life by forgiving yourself gives you ultimate responsibility and leadership of your life and what will happen to you. Beat yourself with a feather. You have to be aware of your limitations and who you are to truly forgive yourself. However, it is important to know that there is no one who has not been hurt or who has not made a mistake. Forgiving yourself makes you realize the position you are as an imperfect being that makes mistakes every now and then. You know what this means, and rather than beat yourself over every terrible action you take, you can learn to tap into the benefits of forgiveness and be happy. You can take more responsibility and live fully. Forgiving yourself permits you to take more actions, knowing that you won't be living in regrets or hurting after all. You can see a clear horizon, rather a distorted one of discomfort, of uncertainty. You see everything you do as a learning point. After all, you can start seeing yourself as a student of life. You start seeing possibilities and become more positive, even in the face of wrongdoings and misgivings. You can be more tolerant and live better rather than live in bitterness. Happiness is a choice after all. And if you really want to be happy, you can start making an important choice of forgiving yourself no matter what and becoming happy, joyous, and free. The key to recovery is forgiveness and letting go of anger and resentment. Forgiving doesn't mean saying the pain doesn't matter or that what the other person said or did was okay. It doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means letting go of your need for an apology or for revenge. Forgiving others. You do not have to forgive everyone who has done you wrong, but you do need to get rid of any anger and resentment you may have in your heart. Many people say that they forgave some but didn't want anything to do with them. That is not true forgiveness. When you forgive someone, you continue the relationship from the point when the transgression happened. For example, if you find out that your bridesmaid stole money from you before the wedding, but you forgive her and still have her as your bridesmaid, That is an example of forgiveness. If, on the other hand, you tell your bridesmaid that you have no ill will towards her and wish her the best, but you don't want her in the wedding, then you've let go of the situation and the resentment you may have had. Freedom from bondage. Big Book, page 552. If you have a resentment you want to be free of, if you will pray for the person or the thing that you resent, you will be free. If you will ask in prayer for everything you want for yourself to be forgiven to them, you will be free. Ask for their health, their prosperity, even when you don't really want it for them and your prayers are only words and you don't mean it. Go ahead and do it anyway. Do it every day for 2 weeks and you will find you have come to mean it and you want it for them. And you will realize that where you used to feel bitterness and resentment and hatred, you now feel compassionate, understanding, and love. It worked for me then, and it has worked for me many times since, and it'll work for me every time I'm willing to work it. Sometimes I have to ask first for the willingness, but it too always comes. And because it works for me, it will work for all of us. As another great man says, the only real freedom a human being can ever know is doing what you ought to do because you want to do it. This great experience that released me from the bondage of hatred and replaced it with love is really just another affirmation of the truth I know. I get everything I need in Alcoholics Anonymous, and everything I need, I get. And when I get what I need, I invariably find that it was just what I wanted all the time. You are freeing yourself from the bondage because if you drive by another person's house at 2 a.m., you will find the lights off with them sound asleep while you're stewing in your mind. Don't give people that kind of power over you. Forgiveness. Letting go of grudges and bitterness. When someone you care about hurts you, you can hold on to anger, resentment, and thoughts of revenge, or embrace forgiveness and move forward. Who hasn't been hurt by the actions or words of another? Perhaps a parent constantly criticized you growing up, a colleague sabotaged a project, or your partner had an affair, or maybe you've had a traumatic experience, such as being physically or emotionally abused by someone close to you. These wounds can leave you with lasting feelings of anger and bitterness, even vengeance. But if you don't practice forgiveness, you might be the one who pays most dearly. By embracing forgiveness, you can also embrace peace, hope, gratitude, and joy. Consider how forgiveness can lead you down the path of physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. So what is forgiveness? Forgiveness means different things to different people. Generally, however, it involves a decision to let go of resentment and thoughts of revenge. The act that hurts or offended you might always be with you, but forgiveness can lessen its grip on you and help free you from the control of the person who harmed you. Forgiveness can even lead to feelings of understanding, empathy, and compassion for the one who hurt you. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing the harm done to you or making up with the person who caused the harm. Forgiveness brings a kind of peace that helps you go on with life. So what are your benefits of forgiving someone? Letting go of grudges and bitterness can make way for improved health and peace of mind. Forgiveness can lead to healthier relationships, improved mental health, less anxiety, stress, and hostility, lower blood pressure, fewer symptoms of depression, a strong immune system, improved heart health, and improved self-esteem. And what are the effects of holding a grudge? If you're unforgiving, you might bring anger and bitterness into every relationship and new experience, become so wrapped up in the wrong that you can't enjoy the present, and become depressed or anxious. You feel that your life is lacking meaning or purpose, or that you're at odds with your spiritual belief, lost valuable and enriching connectedness with others. So how do you reach a state of forgiveness? Forgiveness is a commitment to a personalized process of change. To move from suffering to forgiveness, you might recognize the value of forgiveness and how it can improve your life. Identify what needs healing and who needs to be forgiven and for what. Consider joining a support group or seeing a counselor. Acknowledge your emotions about the harm done to you and how they affect your behavior and work to release them. Choose to forgive the person who's offended you and move away from the role as victim and release the control and power the offending person and situation have had on your life and in your life. As you let go of grudges, you'll no longer define your life by how you've been hurt. You might even find compassion and understanding. So what happens if I can't forgive someone? You can't forgive it. Forgiveness can be challenging, especially if the person who's hurt you doesn't admit wrong. If you find yourself stuck, practice empathy. Try seeing the situation from the other person's point of view. Ask yourself why he or she would behave in such a way. Perhaps you would have reacted similarly if you faced the same situation. Reflect on times you've hurt others and on those who've forgiven you. Write in a journal, pray or use guided meditation, or talk with a person you found to be wise and compassionate, such as a spiritual leader, a mental health provider, or an impartial loved one or friend. Be aware that forgiveness is a process, and even small hurts may need to be revisited and forgiven over and over again. So what are the 4 R's of forgiveness? Responsibility. Accept what has happened and show yourself compassion. Remorse. Use guilt and remorse as a gateway to positive behavior change. Restoration. Make amends and whomever you're forgiving, even if it's yourself. Renewal. Learn from the experience and grow as a person. So the 4 R's: responsibility, remorse, restoration, and renewal. But last but not least, accept the apology that never comes. In an ideal world, everyone that causes harm to another, either intentionally or unintentionally, would immediately offer up a genuine apology, accepting responsibility, acknowledging the pain, expressing empathy and remorse, immediately changing the behavior, and if appropriate, making amends for the damage caused. But we know that rarely happens, and it never happens as quickly as we would like. An apology or a lack thereof is a reflection of the other person's character, not your worth. When somebody causes harm and refuses to accept responsibility, they are telling you who they are, not who you are. When someone is too cowardly to admit fault, they are showing you their own shortcomings, not yours. And just because somebody displays an utter lack of empathy, it does not mean your pain is not real and valid. When you wait for an apology, you are allowing the person who harmed you to continue to harm you. You're letting them decide if you get to be okay again. And is that really the decision you want to place in the hands of someone who lacks empathy and courage? If this person is still involved in your life and they're unable or unwilling to authentically apologize, take a good look at your boundaries. Is this someone that you want to remain in your life? The bottom line is that when you forgive someone, you're doing it for yourself. You are freeing yourself from bondage. You don't have to forgive the person, but you do have to let go of the situation and any ill will you may have towards that person. When we say the Lord's Prayer, we should think about all the words in that prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Each time you say the Lord's Prayer, you're asking for forgiveness for yourself and the willingness to forgive those who have hurt you. So what are the 3 stages of forgiveness? Here are 3 steps that might help when you're trying to forgive. Acknowledge your feelings of bitterness or betrayal. These are real feelings that can only be overcome if they are openly recognized. Try to understand why the person did what he or she did, and abandon your resentment. If you try to understand why the person did what they did and help you to forget, it will help you to forgive or at least let go of any anger and resentment. Everything has a cause and an effect. Gail Carnegie says, by becoming interested in the cause, you're less likely to dislike the effect. If someone steals from you and you find out they were trying to buy food or medicine, you might say to yourself that you might have done the same under similar circumstances. You should not forgive and forget, but that doesn't you should not forgive and forget, but that doesn't mean you bring up the transgression every time you get mad at the other person. When you learn to forgive yourself, you will beat yourself with a feather instead of a hammer that you have been using. You will also start to not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. You will start to comprehend the word serenity, and you will know peace. Forgive yourself because your higher power has already forgiven you. Forgive others, or at least let go of the anger and resentment because it is killing you. You also want to take the power away from the other person. They are living rent-free in your head. Don't give anyone that much power. And if you've relapsed, thank your higher power that you made it back into the rooms of AA, because not everyone makes it back. You never have to relapse again. The door does not always swing both ways. If you have not yet relapsed, you don't have to in the future. It's easier to stay sober than it is to get sober. AA is the easier, softer way. You don't have to drink no matter what. You don't have to fail. You don't fail till you stop trying. Get out of your comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone until it becomes comfortable. Don't be afraid of faking it until you make it. Initially, it will be uncomfortable as heck, but do it anyway. Thank you again for attending this workshop on forgiving yourself and others. You can visit our website for this and other workshops on our podcast, thezooCrew.org. And this podcast will be available on the website in the next 2 or 3 days. So we're going to end with the Lord's Prayer.
No need to end it yet. Just start asking if they have any questions, comments. And then at 11 we can end it. We're 5-2.
Sorry, I didn't hear that, John.
No need to end it yet. After the question and answer session, then
yes, I am going to do that. So you all know we're going to stick around. We're going to do the question and answer period, and we're going to have a discussion. So it's open. So we'll end with the Lord's Prayer at the end of our meeting. Let me see what time it is. It's 10:23. Yes, so we have lots of time for questions and answers. So I'm going to open up the room. Anyone would like to share? If anyone has a question, it's open for discussion.
Just raise your hand. Raise your hand.
Layla, come on in. And you can raise your, hold on one second. Let me go to you can raise your virtual hand, or you can raise, I'm going to go to Layla first because I saw her hand. I don't know if she can raise it virtually. Come on in, Layla. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Lola, I'm an addict. So I have to ask this because sometimes I overcomplicate things. When it says I'm nearing that step to make amends, except for when it would cause harm, what is that? Can you give me some clarity around that? Cause, like where it says unless it would cause harm, like how can something cause harm if you're making amends? Can you explain that to me?
Okay, sorry, Layla, your audio's, I'm going to turn your video off because you're cutting in and out. So I'm going to try turning your video off, and if you can ask that question again, that would be great. There, I've turned your video off. Try now.
Okay, so I overcomplicate everything, and I know this is a me problem, and other people probably read this and they have clarity, essentially when they read it. So I'm nearing the step where I make amends. So where it says, except for when to cause harm to yourself or others, can you give me some clarity around that? Because I've got several, but I mean, you guys are on point normally. So if you could give me feedback, because I feel like this aligns with today's, stuff.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but your audio is pretty bad too. Sorry. So you just had a question. Clarity on, I guess when it would cause harm to yourself and others. I think that I understood that right.
I'll take a crack at that one.
Thank you, John.
So it's really it's a real easy one. Not only simple but easy. Let's say a guy's been cheating on his wife or his girlfriend. You know, he's been cheating on her. He's sober now and wants to start doing the right thing. If she does not know that he was cheating on her, if she has no idea, or maybe even if she only suspected, but again isn't sure, you have no right to tell her. You have no right to tell her if she, you know, now you have to just work on letting go and start doing the right thing from then on. But no, if she doesn't know for a fact and you know confronted you about the cheating, then you have no right to say, "Hey, honey, 5 years ago I cheated on you with 10 women."
Okay.
And,
Gotcha.
okay.
Okay. Thanks, Layla. Thanks for being here, and thanks for raising your hand. Courtney, let me just make sure I'm in the right order here. I think it was, sorry, Christina first. Come on in.
Good morning, everybody. Christina, a grateful alcoholic. Thank you for being here on Sunday morning at 7 a.m. in the West Coast, and still in my pajamas, so I'm not on camera and still bedhead, so sorry. I love these morning meetings, and one of the things I wanted to comment about Layla and just help her with that question as well. There's a living amends you can do too, that you can write things down and you can talk to your sponsor or a higher power and get some support on that, because I can relate. I have an abusive ex-husband, and although wasn't an alcoholic during our marriage, barely drank at all. If I make an amends with the things that I said to him and the harm I caused his emotions and himself, he would probably cause harm to me. And that is something that I am not going to put myself in a situation to be a part of, and nor my son to know that that is something that is continuing to go on verbally and in other ways, as he says, over the last 10 years of our divorce. So in that way, living amends, my mom is passed away. And although, I said things to her and in a loving way before she passed away. And we had a fairly decent relationship anyway, but there's a lot of things that I have to forgive. I'll make a living amends to her. So if that helps, I hope so. And those things are challenging to do. And if I don't know if somebody can help me with this, but there are some people I can forgive, but I don't want to see them again. It's because their own behavior is alcoholic or toxic or abusive or anything like that. I just don't want to put myself in front of people that are going to, a priority for them is to hurt people, and hurt people. So those are ways that if that helps, I don't know, but if somebody wants to comment on that. And I currently have somebody that is very close to me that has just admitted being an alcoholic, comes from a long lineage of alcoholism. And, one of the boundaries I have is I'm a save-aholic too. So I can't go in and help their recovery. I have to focus on my own recovery. And I think I can be there of support and a sounding board, but I have to stop myself from that. So if anybody's been in a situation where they're with their spouse, their person, their friend, or something like that, that's going through the first steps of recovery, I'm not ready to be a sponsor to anybody, especially someone I love very, very much. So that would be super helpful. So thank you all. I'm grateful for today. I'm grateful for all of you, and have an awesome Sunday. Thanks.
Thanks so much. Thanks for being here, and thanks for everyone's questions. And I can relate a little bit. I can speak a little bit about that. I think more so my understanding, and for me, what works for me is that in that type of situations where, I have my ex and it's, I've come from abusive relationships and so forth, that It's more so the release, I'm releasing, I guess that I'm taking away the power from the person that, has harmed me. And so forgiving myself of being able to move on, move forward, and not let this person control the things in my life or those feelings. And for me, that's where the forgiveness comes into play. Not being able to give that person the power that they so had before. So for me, that's a release of that from in myself, and to be able to gain the peace and the serenity that I need to live the best life that I can live, working the steps to the best I can. So that's all I wanted to share. Courtney, come on in.
Good morning, Courtney. Grateful recovering alcoholic and addict. I'm so glad I found this meeting. I don't think I knew this one existed on Sundays, and I was absolutely looking for a women's meeting this morning. I appreciate the topic and the podcast or the reading on forgiveness. So I guess I just want to make a couple of comments from my experience, because forgiving myself is kind of an ongoing process for me. And I recall when I was in rehab over the summer of last year, I went in with the distinct intention of getting therapy specifically for the domestic violent relationship that I had come out of. That was really, really acutely, it was really rough, because so much of that gaslighting had merged myself with him and the experience that my self-worth was zero. I could not see the worthiness in myself. And when I would think about that, I almost felt like I was guilty to think I could forgive myself because I put myself in a situation like that. And so it's an ongoing process. And what I realized is that a lot of it is tied to my core issues as a child, and realizing that there's so much depth and breadth to things that I was exposed to that I had no control over, and then things that I was exposed to that I absolutely had control over. And I caused trauma to I re-traumatized myself or made it worse. And so it's a daily process. I would like to think now a lot of the strength that I've been able to acquire and continue to acquire has come through my willingness to be in this program, my willingness to work the steps, my willingness to listen more than I talk, to hear and to relate more to everyone's story that shares, male or female, and to identify with my higher power. For me, my higher power I choose to call Christ. When I look at myself through his eyes, I am worthy. I am and so that helps me. The other piece of this is that I do have codependency issues, and a lot of, and kind of how I was brought up, I was definitely groomed to be a nurturer, to take on other people's problems and care for them. My grandmother raised me, so that's a whole nother thing. But I know now too that a lot of times the way my anger shows up is not maybe like others where it's a lashing out or it's explosive. It's very much internal and imploding. And similar to when we used to say, I've heard other people say, I would be mad at you and I drink the alcohol trying to poison you and I poison myself. That was, thank you. That's basically me in a nutshell, how I was. And when I think about my abuser, I still have to go to my higher power and ask for forgiveness for him and myself, because I cannot in totality put this human being down. Also, I don't agree with what happened to me, but it's a process and everybody's different. So if you're a survivor of domestic abuse, don't by any means think you have to be at this point right now. Like, it's not, because I wasn't. But I have days where I'm angrier and other days where I know that if I hold on to that, it's just keeping me in that pain and in that that past. So it's a process, and therapy works, medicine works, all that for me. So thank you. I'm sorry if I went over. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. Thanks for being here and thanks for sharing. So we're just to make sure that we fit everyone in, because we only have about 20-25 minutes. We're going to go down to 2-minute shares, and I'll just let you know when you have 30 seconds left. So Catherine, come on in.
Hi, I'm Kat. I'm an alcoholic. So Oh my God, I'm going through so much stuff right now, and like this is really poignant for me today, but um I am a single mother, and I have been I went through hell. I got sober in 2020, and I went through some really bad PTSD stuff that put me into a really bad mental health episode. And nobody in my family was there for me. And I had thought I had forgiven them. But they're giving me a very hard time right now about my life in general. And I'm raising my daughter mostly by myself. Her dad has stepped back in and takes her 1 to 2 nights a week. But he's trying to control whether or not my boyfriend stays here with me. And it's like, if you would help with your daughter more, maybe I wouldn't need so much help from this one person. And I'm trying to get all of this help from a partner who can't offer it to me. And I need it from, I need the support of the people who are supposed to be in her life. And I'm just really working on the forgiveness stuff right now because I don't know where to start. I just, I went through my step work and he won't let me make amends to him yet. And I am just at a loss. I'm just at a complete loss because he's trying to control my life when his life is so out of control too. And he's trying to make things happen that he has no right to make happen. And I want to let it go. I just want to be able to let it go, but I don't know how because I'm afraid that he's going to try to hold my daughter against me if I stand up for myself. And I want so badly to let it go. I need these people to support me, and I just don't know how to get, I have support in AA now, and I'm so grateful for that because if it wasn't for those women, like there's no way I'd be getting through this. There's no way. But the custody stuff is just so difficult. It's so hard. And I have to forgive myself. That's the big one right now. And like I want to scream all the time because I'm suffering severe mental health stuff and just trying to go through it. Oh, so much. It's less on my own than it used to be because of AA. But it just seems impossible. It just seems impossible right now, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Sorry, that's all I have.
Thanks, Catherine, and thanks so much for being here. I would encourage you to stay after the meeting if you want to chat and to get our women's phone list. That's in the chat as well. And also, if anyone needs attendance verification, that will be in the chat. But Catherine, I would encourage you to come to our women's meeting too. It's a beautiful meeting, and there's so much love in that room, and there is here too. There's lots of love all around. So please, if anyone's feeling alone and disconnected, you're in the right place. So we're gonna go to Karina. Come on in.
Guys, I really like this because I feel like we're going on the whole abuse trajectory right now. We're talking about it. And man, forgiveness was big for me too when it came to that, because that's when my drinking started getting really heavy, was when things were really rough and like my girlfriend would hide my keys. Or one time I woke up randomly after I was sleeping and then she just started hitting me and like, but I still love her. Like I hope like the best for her, all that, right? Because like it's really just about forgiveness is really just about letting yourself just let that go. But you know what? If she fell off a bridge, I don't know if I would care. I'd be like, good luck. No, I'm just kidding. But maybe not really, because I don't know. But she goes through past traumas too. So for her, like her family was like that. Like her parents fought a lot. My parents fought a lot. And I think someone was talking about that, like past like comes back in your life, and you just kind of have to figure that out. But I'm just glad that I got sober and got over it, because it is really hard, and PTSD is a bitch, so therapy is always good. But yeah, that's just my share for today. Thank you. And I'm looking like ET right now because I'm in Sacramento and the weather is crazy, so my lights just barely got turned back on. So all right, thanks guys.
Thanks, Karina. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing. Thanks so much. iPhone, come on in.
Hi, Nicole Alcoholic. I'm so glad I found this meeting. I think I was just a few minutes late, but if I missed any birthdays, congratulations and welcome to the newcomers. I really like this topic and I really appreciate the question that was asked. I too was told if you were gonna make an amends that was gonna harm someone, then you wouldn't do that. And I think it's super important when you're doing your step work to find a sponsor that you respect and trust, and they will really help you make that decision. It's kind of hard to make that decision or give advice if we don't know the circumstance. So that's why it's
You're muted. Sorry, you're muted.
okay.
Let's see if you can. There we go.
Did any of that go through?
Just the last like 10 seconds we missed. So sorry. I don't know what happened.
It's okay. I was just saying it's important to do your step work with a sponsor that you trust and respect so that when you get to that point, if you're wondering if you need to make an amends and if it's going to harm said person, your sponsor will help you navigate. And if you're still feeling uneasy with whatever they're telling you to do, then finding someone else that you respect and trust and running it by them is the best route to go. It's just hard to give advice on that.
30 seconds, please.
And so that is my 2 cents. I'm super grateful to be here. Get a sponsor, do your steps. It is so worth it. My life has changed drastically. And I can say that 98% of the time I feel very peaceful because of this program. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for sharing that. Erica, come on in.
Hello, everyone. I'm Erica Beloved, and will remain alcohol-free another day. I hope. Love the topic and the shares, and I just wanted to share something because I really resonated with what Lala, Christine, and Catherine were sharing earlier. So when I think about forgiveness, this has been a huge journey for me the last year with my sister who lives 5 minutes away. We both grew up as orphans through different foster care agencies until we were 18, basically from 4 to 5 to 18. So I was kind of like her mother's sister. And we don't have a great relationship. She's my only family. She has 2 daughters. She's married. And a lot of it stems to our childhood trauma. And I've had to walk this part of my journey alone from, I didn't start drinking until I was like, I think 36. I had my first drink. I'm 44. And when I needed her, she wasn't there. And through, going into treatment, coming out, working with therapy. And I had a lot of forgiveness work that I needed to do. And it helped me to understand that we're human beings. We have a shared human experience. Compassion is a value that I have. And for me, even though it hurts so badly, I know that the reason why she's behaving the way she is toward me is because she can't address her own trauma. It's not me. She can't address her own, thank you. She can't address her own trauma. And so for me, making amends can't be a selfish process. She can't hear from me. She's put up the boundary that has said, I can't be with you or around you, Erica, and the same with my daughters. And I have to respect that. And so part of my amends is doing the living amends, but also saying to her, I am here when you are ready. And she can't be part of my life right now. And that's the healthiest for me. And for her, she feels that's the healthiest for her. So I think boundaries are important. Finding support where you need it. And just because you forgive someone doesn't mean that they need to be part of your life. Thanks.
Thanks so much. Thanks for your share and thanks for being here. And I kind of go to, for me, if the person's not willing to sit down with me, or if it's someone that's passed away, I think writing a letter and holding on to that, or if the person is no longer here, some people like to burn it, but it's being able to release that and not be holding it inside you. David, come on in.
Hello, how are you, Nicole?
Good.
Yeah. Oh, good. So I got a couple of messages first. One for John, if he's still on. He sent me his number to help with the Zoom bomb problem. I've been doing information security for as long as it's been a thing. And I'll give my number out again. And if he's not still on, maybe you could write it down and give it to him, because I'd love to be of service.
What? Did you want to just save that for the end of the meeting? If you want to share on the workshop, that's great. And then after we can talk about all that, that would be great. I've got some more hands up as well.
And all I have to say is all of you are just wonderful. And I appreciate you. It's my 18th meeting in 8 days or something. And yeah, I don't sit and have a drink when I'm in a meeting with y'all. And I see your smiling face, or Jay's, or Colton's, or John's, or cousin Jonathan, or yeah. And I don't want to have a drink. And so you're all of great service to me, and I appreciate you, and anything I can do to help. Anything. I want to give back. So thank you. God bless you. That's it.
Thanks, David. Thanks for being here, and thank you. Yes, we always need service. Anyone else that would like to be on our service team, the meeting will be in the chat. Ivy, come on in. Well done. I have to unmute you. There you go, love. Come on in.
Hello, guys. Ivy, alcoholic. I'm on 22 days. This is my third attempt. First time in the program. Is there a topic that we're talking about?
So this was actually a recovery. It was a workshop, and it was on forgiving yourself and others. That was the topic.
Sure.
You might have missed this part of it. So
I think
that's okay.
A little bit late.
It was taped, and it's going to be on our website under the podcast, so you can always listen to it then. But yeah, go ahead and share if you'd like to share.
Sure. So, I mean, yeah, I've been hiding out in my house for the last 22 days and just kind of reintroducing myself to myself, and being a little bit, I guess, scared if I'd be funny or fun to be around sober. And I've been confirmed that I'm still funny. So I went to a show last night, and I had Red Bull and soda water, and I still ended up getting drugged. Somebody put something in my drink, even though it was present and conscious and wasn't drunk. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. My thing's going off. Or my sober group is freaking out. And I came home and I was out of my sorts. But yeah, acceptance, forgiveness. I was not able to control what happened last night, but I was able to control myself. And the difference is that I wasn't belligerent. I wasn't drunk. I was not making the choice to drink. And there's been so much love today, and people reaching out, making sure I'm okay, as opposed to if I were to be fucked up or drunk, nobody would respond to me. It would just be like, oops, guilty, shame. So yeah, that's the difference between being sober and being fucked up. So I'm still a newbie. I'm learning all this shit, but thank you guys for listening to me. So yeah, I forgive the person who drugged me last night. I'm okay. Thank you guys.
And thanks, Ivy. Thanks for being here, and thanks for sharing. You are in the right place, and please check out our website, and please keep coming back. Sorry, I can't speak straight this morning. And Joanne, come on in. Is it Joan? I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Joanne. I'm an alcoholic. I love this topic. It's a never-ending, lifelong lesson for me, and an end active work for me. You know, and I think that I tend to not be able to forgive others until I've forgiven myself. And so that's actually the hardest work that I do on this topic. I was sober almost 6 years in the program, sort of doing all the AA stuff when I relapsed, and I never thought that was going to be my story. So I have a little over a year back, and I'm actually working the 8th and 9th step right now for the second time with my same sponsor from the first time around. And you know, and she's a lot of Al-Anon background, and so she's very kind and gentle and helps me in the journey of forgiving self. And I find that the more I stick to my spiritual program and conscious contact with my God as I understand him, that I'm able, with a lot of self-talk and a lot of opening of my heart, to be able to forgive. And the challenge for me oftentimes is not so much in the forgiving, but in the accepting people for who they are, but also understanding the balance between that and not accepting the unacceptable. And so it's like sort of, and that's, I think, an Al-Anon thing, right? So like I spent my first 6 years in sobriety the first time around, working the steps and working my spiritual program, and also continuing to try to force a round peg in a square hole in relationships. Like, okay, I'm going to work on accepting them and doing my part, and what's my part, and what do I have to do to change? But still maintaining a relationship in situations or with people where it just wasn't, the behavior coming back at me wasn't acceptable. And so this idea of creating boundaries and just sort of being able to forgive and detach with love. And because at the end of the day, if I don't forgive and I hold on to the resentment, I'll drink. And that's the bottom line. So in some ways, it's very self-serving, right? You know, being on this spiritual path and doing the work and really digging deep and doing the healing, which to me, the 12 steps is a program for healing and living. By doing all of that, it really helps me not pick up a drink every day. And that's the bottom line. And in doing so, I get to show up for people, and I get to make amends, and I get to make living amends in situations where the unacceptable is not acceptable. And I don't stay in relationship with certain people, you know, but I can still be making amends and being in a place of forgiveness and acceptance. So it's tricky stuff for me, you know, but it's constant self-talk and constant like opening of heart and staying connected and all of that kind of stuff. You know, this program isn't for the faint of heart sometimes, I feel, because it's work. You know, there's action that has to happen. So I'm really grateful to be here today. This is a great topic, and you can never, you know, be with this too much for me. I can't, you know, I'll learn something every time. So thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks, Joanne. Very, very well said. Thank you very much for your share. That touched me. Very well said. Yeah, it's. I feel like you know, practicing this almost every day. You think we'd, you know, like just know it off the cuff, but no. John, come on in. We can't hear you, John, if you're speaking.
So the amends process in step 9, it is, please get someone to go over your 8th step list with you before you go making amends. Get someone to go over that list with you so that you'll know, because you're not going to make amends to everyone that's on your list. You don't make amends to your drug dealer. You don't make amends to your ex spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend, if you don't have a child with them. You know, so yeah, have someone go over that list, check your motives, and then devise a course of action for each individual person. There's no one blanket, one size fits all amends. You know, so yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thank you so much. And thank you for the workshop too. Amazing. So well put together. Does anyone else have any questions or comments or shares on the topic? We do run we run 2 workshops a month, and the next one is next Sunday, and it's the 12 steps in 4 hours. It's an amazing workshop. Jackie, come on in.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sitting here and just hanging on to every word that I'm hearing in here today. This is a large topic, and sometimes a difficult one at that. I've got a little saying here that I'm just reading. It's actually in an AA joke book, but it's this isn't a joke. The rabbit's hole. It says a definition of forgiveness: giving up hope for a better past. The past is what it is, and it is the past, but hoping it was any different than it was doesn't change things. And there was also another quote. I think it was I'll say it kind of generally is forgive them, for they know not what they do. But I'd say forgive us, for we know not what we've done. But when we know better, do better. My forgiveness process is one of surrender, and it is in small pieces. And some people are passed on, and I have talked to them or things like that. But I know where I am in sobriety. I've kind of got an armor around me, and intuitively, I'm kind of going by the appropriate thing. And I've actually tried to make a 90-degree turnaround. I need to forgive and be forgiven. I have done a lot of it along the way, and sometimes people are not open for the conversations. They just don't want to go there. So I have to surrender and leave that. So I think today I'm feeling a little bit lighter on my feet, but there still is a lot of pain and a lot of suffering there, even on a universal level. When we open up the meeting, before the meeting, and the lady said it was so nice how you treated helping a person of color learn how to host a meeting or whatever. And for me, that's on that level, I don't think, like me as being white, that known the damage that was done through people of color, African American, things like that. The natives, even here in Canada, is not even written in history books. And there's a lot of alcohol and abuse and stuff came out of that. So maybe we can, my global forgiveness is we can see each other as individuals and spirits, and just try to be our bigger self than our little self, which comes from substance abuse, pain, suffering, and trauma. So I have the hack at mine little by little, but there's a global one for me. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks, Jackie. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for sharing. So this does end our workshop. I would encourage all of you to come to more of our workshops. So our next one is next Sunday. And like I said, it's 12 steps in 4 hours. It's a great workshop. I've been to it twice. It's amazing. You'll get so much out of it. I do. Every time I go through it, I get something. I hear something new. I see something new. So it's really, really well done. So we have 2 workshops a month. You can find out, get all the information for our workshops on our website. So it's www.thezoocrew.org. So if you go to our websites, you'll see our podcast there. This one has been recorded. It will be there as well in a couple of days. And if you need any other information, attendance verification, or if you want a men's or women's phone list, you can get that too. I would encourage you, for any of you that are seeking that support, there's sober support as well. So please reach out. And our next meeting is in 30 minutes. It's at 11:30. So yeah, stay for the next one if you'd like. And it's Sunday, yeah. So I hope you all have an amazing day, and thanks for being here. And with that, the workshop's over. So if you'd like to fellowship, you can stay. And if you have things to do, by all means. Thank you very much.